pseudoscience when they try and apply it to me. So like a few times I've met them for various TV shows, and you have to go through a psychoanalysis, et cetera, et cetera. I make it very, very clear that their science isn't exact, and that it's pseudoscience, and that it's based on general rules, and they always basically agree. I mean, it's hard to argue against that. I've had a few try and argue it, and I said, look, there's people who don't drink alcohol because their father was an alcoholic, and there's people who are alcoholics because their father was an alcoholic.
I agree with all your
facts. With different endings from the same scenario, so it's a pseudoscience. And what they will then say is, yes, there's general rules, and then I'll make it very, very clear that I'm not a general individual. I'm an exceptional individual with exceptional capability and genetic gifts, with exceptional physical accolades, exceptional IQ, so none of your general rules apply to me, so who gives a fuck what you say? And then they sit there stumped, and that's the end of the fucking conversation. Because they're all jackasses talking to fucking norms. And I'm not norms. So who gives a shit what they think about me? And I'm smarter than them. And they sit there and they just sit silent and write things on a piece of paper. And they probably write bad things about me, and that's the end of the conversation. What can they say? What can you say about a person who is, as much as I understand, as jarring as I am, the whole bunch of people in the chat who don't like me, I completely get it. I'm not socially inept. I understand how dislikable I am. But I also understand that I am exceptionally successful. Every single thing I've ever attempted, I've become exceptional at. And I'm not just talking about a few things. I became the best kickboxer on earth. I became a 4-time kickboxing world champion. I came from nothing, a council estate with no money, to a multi-millionaire. And there's nothing I've ever attempted and I've failed in my life ever. So I understand how I come across as jarring, but you also have to understand when you live that human existence, you're gonna have a bit of a fucking ego. And my ego is one of my greatest powers, my greatest strength. I don't doubt myself, ever. If the Titanic is sinking, I'm not worried about the cold water. I'm not going to die. I will swim. Fuck you. I'll see you on the fucking
Genghis Khan.
That is me. So
I think it's that you live in the wrong time. Because, I mean, if you think about it, LP, to his argument, if he lived a few hundred years ago, he would be revered as a hero. He would be a king. And
well, I'm sure there are people who feel that way about him now, and I personally, I find it very difficult to argue with him too. Even if, like, for me, I couldn't.
You want to start an
I have to try to live within my own morals, but he makes really good arguments, you know. And I gotta say, I always know when we have Andrew on that we're going to get some good sound clips for the next intro that I put together. I think we definitely got some of those. We got a $10 donation on Streamlabs from Quebec.
So I'm already a cam girl, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm just sitting here talking. Yeah, one of the best lines that threw me off was one of yours. It was if women were happy living in trees.
Right. Yeah, we use that in other intros.
Yeah, that was a really good line. I mean, it was accurate. It was. I didn't expect you to say it though. Most people.
This is the thing, and this is what's kind of amazing to me, is that a lot of people don't understand that females do own and control and run the world. I get constantly accused.
I agree.
I get constantly accused of being this patriarchal, horrible exploiter or whatever. All I do is I offer females occupation, which some of them agree and some of them don't agree. That's it. If I have lots of women who decide to sleep with me, that's me using female nature against females. This is all females are in charge of everything. And pussy runs the world. Absolutely everything a man does is aimed at pussy.
It's a carrot,
Every single thing a man does is aimed at
buildings
pussy.
getting built. Yeah, no, so I've heard all these arguments from
so if women didn't want men to be a bunch of simps, then all they have to do is stop sleeping with simps. But they won't. So the simps obviously get some pussy here and there, because if they really had to man up to get laid, they would. So it's women who are in charge of the entire decline of morality, because women are sleeping with dorkhead dude. You know what? I'll give you an example. I'll give you a perfect example. In London, which is off the chain with stabbings now. London's crazy with stabbings. All these stabbings are going around on Snapchat. Snapchat's a social media, and all these gangs are Snapchatting and stabbing everyone. That's why they had 15,000 stabbings last year or something. Look it up. It's crazy. But the reason the guys are doing it are for clout. What do they need clout for? Pussy. So what stupid bitch is fucking the dude who stabs the most? This just all this shit. Every single thing is based down to pussy. It's all women's fault. It's all your fault.
I think the incels would agree with you on this. We had a long last week.
You mean wait? So are you doing it?
Good Christian men. It's all your fault. How can I, as a clear scumbag, walk into a club, getting out my Lambo with 5 other women around me, and still walk out with a new woman? How can I possibly do that? Women should know better. They should know better. You're terrible negotiators. It's all females' fault. If women
I'll
only
agree
slept
with
with good
that.
Christian men, there'd only be good Christian men. I am a product. I am a product of the female sexual imperative for wanting high testosterone, rich, dangerous individuals. It's not my fault. So I blame
There's another sound clip right there. All right, we're coming up on time. I got to make my other video today. Let me read this one super chat we got. Quebec01 says, if you are starting with a libertarian ideology, you will not have the foundation to argue against pimps and prostitutes. When you're starting with premises of tolerance and a childish idea of freedom, it makes it impossible to have standards. I more or less agree with that, which is why I'm not that libertarian anymore. I'm more like
that's why I said the libertarian side of me, meaning that my problem is
conservatism for the win.
But I always get thrown in with pimps and prostitutes. And although I call myself a pimp, I want to make it clear, my girls have had incredible offers for sex, $100,000, $200,000. And even if the girl would do it, which they wouldn't, I would never let my girl sleep with a man for sex.
So that's where you're, so you do have a line that you draw.
Because then it goes into the real world. Okay, if I load up Call of Duty and shoot a bunch of people, is that different than walking down the street with a gun and shooting a bunch of people? One of them's digital and is false. One of them's based on a fallacy, a fake name and a fake location and a fake everything. And one of them's the real world. So I draw the line at the real world. So I don't know why I'm constantly thrown in with, oh, you all have all these hookers. My girls have sleep with one man and one man only, Andrew Tate. That's it. They don't sleep with nobody else. No other man touches them. No other man talks to them for free. If you want to talk to my girl, if you want to DM her, you're going to end up on her OnlyFans. You don't get to talk to my girls, nothing. My girls are the most loyal females on earth. They are dedicated to me and me only. My name's tattooed all over. So there's nothing to do with the prostitution thing. I only say pimp because pimp is an easy way for me to explain that I am in control of women and women obey me and I give them the support they need to be successful. Because let me tell you one more thing. It doesn't matter if a woman wants to be a cam girl, doesn't matter if she wants to be a homemaker, doesn't matter if she wants to be a career woman. If there's not a man in charge of that process, she's going to fuck it up. No matter what she wants to do, she needs a man in charge. Regardless of whether it's a cam girl, it's a lawyer, it's a homemaker, there has to be a man telling her ass what to do. Because without instruction, she's headed for self-destruction. Every single one, regardless of path. So there's always a man in charge for a woman to be successful in any field, including the cam industry. So my females obey me, otherwise they couldn't be cam girls. There is no cam girl without me. They can't do it without me. They need me. I am the fucking brains behind all of this. They can't do shit without me.
All right, I'll just say again, the official position of the channel is that women deserve rights. That's our official. We recognize Andrew's right to express himself and his opinions, but officially we think women have the right to, lead their own lives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
If they consensually commit to that relationship, then I have no problem with it.
Sure.
Of course they consensually commit.
I know, but that, just so you know, there's a lot of these relationships where the guy gets the girl into it and she's not really consenting.
Hey, no, let's talk about this. Before we go on.
Okay. Oh, God.
I want to talk about this.
And
Because
another thing.
Let me tell you something about the world. And let me tell you something about women. First things first, you cannot force somebody to do something they don't want to do for a prolonged period of time. Every single girl who works for me wants to work for me. I'm barely home. I'm traveling the world. There's nothing stopping them packing up and walking out. So the idea that women often talk about coerced or forced, you weren't forced to do shit. You chose to do something. And then now you regret it. You're going to pretend you didn't have a choice. You always had a fucking choice. You could have left that abusive man a long time ago, but you didn't because you were addicted to the attention. And now you want to leave. And now you're going to pretend you've never had a chance in 15 years to walk out the door. That's bullshit. So that's the first thing. I don't believe in this whole forced, coerced crap. All of my girls work for me because they want to. It is their choice. In fact, most of them are worried about me firing them because I am militant. You piss me off 1%, you're out the door. So they're begging not to get fired, let alone fucking trying to be tricked into camming. That's the first thing. That's complete shit that can get thrown out the window. Second thing with women. Women retrospectively change their view on scenarios. I'll give you an example. I knew a girl who was exceptionally pretty. She was from Moldova. She married a prince in Dubai. She went to Dubai. I was there with her. I've known her for a while. She married this prince. I spoke to her. I said, how is it? She goes, oh, it's amazing. She sent me a picture of her with the tigers. I'm living with these tigers, and I get to stay in the house, and I drive his McLaren, and my life is great, and blah, we're going to have kids soon, da-da-da-da. And I'd say, oh, like, so what's it? Is he there much? She's like, no, he's not here. He's always away working. He has royal duties, blah, blah, blah. I spoke to her again 6 months later. She goes, oh, I'm miserable. It turns out he wasn't working. He's sleeping with all these other girls. I'm like, what the fuck? He's a prince. What do you think he's doing? You think he was loyal to you, you bimbo? Anyway, the point is, then she started saying, I feel like I'm a prisoner. I can't go anywhere. So her perfect dream life, the same scenario changed based on her feelings for the man. It went from the perfect setup to a prison based on her personal feelings for the man. And this is the problem with women. And this is why it's so dangerous to be a man nowadays. Because in my scenario, I can have a girl who works for me, who's in love with me and enjoy everything. And as soon as she finds out I don't want to be with her in a long-term way, or I sleep with another girl, or she gets jealous, then she can sit and say, he forced me, and they will change. Women do this shit. But I'm 10 steps ahead of the game, so I'm the smartest motherfucker. I've been around for a long time, so I know what women do. But this is what women do. I've never coerced a female to do anything. I've offered an opportunity, and they decided to do it. And in my history, across the 75 girls who've worked for me, I've only ever had one girl who turned on me that way. One girl who turned and tried to say that I tricked her. One tried it, but they will try it if they don't like you anymore. So this is why female testimony holds precisely zero value. Zero. You cannot trust
You're not the official I hypocrite position. But what about like if a girl went to the police and said, like, surely you recognize too, you even just said it, you're taking on a certain level of risk that if you were just married with one girl,
okay, so let's talk about
the more girls you're involved with, the more chance you're going to have somebody saying that you raped her, trying to get you're abusive, going to the police, et cetera, et cetera.
A girl did that.
So how do you protect yourself from that?
Okay, so a girl did that. So this was about 5 years ago. I was in England. Very long story short, I had 5 girls in the house. Everyone's working. There was wine in the fridge, unlimited alcohol. Girl gets too drunk, drinks too much. English girl, typical idiot, throws up. I said, clean up. She goes, I don't want to clean. You have a cleaner. I said, cleaner comes tomorrow. It's 7 o'clock on a fucking Friday night. Clean up. You know, I'm going to say how stink a sick. Clean up. She refused to clean up. One rotten apple, right? So I can't have this kind of disrespect. I take her stuff, I throw it out the window from the 6th floor. I take her ass nicely by her arms, take her ass, put her out the door, boom, closed, you're fired. She starts texting me, you owe me money, you owe me money, you owe me money. So I'm not paying you because I had to clean up a bunch of fucking sick. So I'm not paying you your money. Anyway, 5 months, maybe literally 5 months later, I'm asleep in bed, 5 o'clock in the morning. My door gets kicked in and the police raid my apartment and arrest me for assault. So she went to the police and said I attacked her that night and that I hit her. Now, this is the problem. Look at me on my social media. Look how I talk. Big, strong Andrew. Ooh, the sexist, misogynist, blah, 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 right? So I'm sitting there in the police interview,